Everything you hate in others is really a part of yourself. You think you know who you are. You believe your personality, your values, and your choices are truly yours. But what if I told you that half of who you are, the most powerful part, has been buried deep inside? No matter how hard you try to hide it, it still controls you from the shadows. This isn't just feel-good advice. It's not about being positive or pretending your dark side doesn't exist. This is about truth, raw and real. The parts of you that you're most scared of, the parts you hide, avoid and push away, those aren't your enemies. They're actually the missing pieces of your power. Carl Jung, a famous psychologist, called this hidden part of you the shadow. Whether you want to face it or not, your shadow affects every part of your life. You either learn to understand it, or it controls you without you even knowing. By the end of this video, you won't just understand the shadow. You'll know how to face it, work with it, and use it to completely change your life. But first, you need to see what's been hiding in the dark. From the time you were old enough to talk, you were given a set of rules. What's good, what's bad, what parts of yourself you must never show. Every time you were told to behave, every time you were scolded for being angry, every time you felt ashamed for wanting something that didn't match other people's expectations, a piece of you was locked away. But those parts of you didn't disappear. They became your shadow. Jung discovered that every person has a part of themselves they've rejected or buried. This includes the traits we're taught are bad: anger, jealousy, greed, fear. But it also includes things like confidence, desires, and creative energy. The shadow isn't just your dark side, it's also your unused potential, the parts of you that were never allowed to grow. Because they've been buried so long, they control you in ways you don't even notice. The shadow is why you overreact. It's why some people make you feel uneasy. It's why you keep falling into the same harmful habits. Why you mess things up just when life is going well. Why you feel stuck even when you're trying your best. You think you're choosing your actions, but often, your shadow is the one pulling the string. You think you don't like certain people because of how they act. But in truth, they remind you of a part of yourself you haven't faced. Jung said it best. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. The shadow is a mirror. It shows you what you can't see in yourself. The more you push it down, the stronger its grip becomes. It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. The harder you press, the more it wants to burst back up. This is why people who never show their feelings often end up exploding. Why people who act like they're perfect often hide the deepest secrets. If you ignore your shadow, it won't go away. It grows stronger and starts affecting your thoughts, actions, and relationships without you realizing it. But here's what no one tells you. Your shadow isn't your enemy, it's your guide. It holds the key to knowing who you really are, to taking back your power, and to finally breaking free from the things that secretly control your life. We're told to hide our darkness, but Jung knew the only way to grow is to face it. When you face your shadow, it stops controlling you. You stop reacting to life in automatic, unconscious ways. You start seeing yourself clearly, maybe for the first time. But just knowing about the shadow isn't enough. Your shadow has always been trying to get your attention. It shows up in your emotions, your habits, and your pattern. Every fear you can't explain, every impulse you try to hide, every cycle you keep repeating, is your shadow in action. It's subtle. It doesn't shout. It whispers. But once you know what to look for, you'll see how often it shows up. Have you ever met someone who instantly got on your nerves, but you couldn't explain why? Maybe they were too loud, too confident, too needy, too proud. Something about them just bothered you. But were they really the problem, or did they reflect a part of you that you've denied? Jung's insight was hard to hear, but it was true. The things that annoy us in others are usually the things we've hidden inside ourselves. If you hate arrogance, maybe it's because you were taught to hide your own confidence. Maybe it's because you were never allowed to show your own needs. It's painful, but it's real. The people who trigger you the most are often showing you a piece of yourself you've rejected. The shadow also shows up when you sabotage yourself. Ever been on the edge of success, then suddenly messed it all up. Maybe you missed a deadline. Maybe you convinced yourself you weren't ready. You tell yourself it was bad luck. But really, part of you didn't believe you deserved that success. If you grew up hearing you weren't good enough, those beliefs didn't vanish with time. They became part of your unconscious, guiding your actions without you knowing. The shadow also repeats painful patterns. Do you keep dating the same type of unhealthy partner? Keep ending up in the same drama-filled situations? That's not random. Your shadow is trying to get your attention. It wants you to look at it, face it, heal it. Until you do, it will keep looping. And then there are your dreams. When your conscious mind is asleep, the shadow speaks the loudest. That's why nightmares are often a sign of something important you've been avoiding. So, how do most people respond? They do what they've been taught: ignore it, blame others, distract themselves. But pushing it away only gives the shadow more power. The moment you realize these triggers and patterns are messages, that's when you start to take back control. But recognizing the shadow is only the first step. The real power comes when you learn to integrate it. That doesn't mean giving in to every dark thought. It means acknowledging your full self, without shame. Here's how. Step 1. Observe without reacting. The next time you feel a strong emotion, anger, jealousy, resentment, pause, don't react. Ask yourself, what part of me is being reflected right now? Just noticing this gives you power. Step 2. Ask deeper questions. Once you see your shadow, start asking, why do I feel this way? When did I first feel this emotion? What belief is hiding under this feeling? If you're scared of failure, ask, did someone make me feel like a failure as a child? Your shadow isn't the pain, it's pointing to where the pain began. Step 3. Take ownership. Most people blame others, but no one else can do this work for you. Say it. This is mine. I take responsibility. Step 4. Turn your shadow into strength. Your shadow holds powerful energy. People who bottle up anger explode. People who deny ambition become bitter. But when that same energy is faced and used, it fuels creativity, purpose, and power. The anger can become motivation. The fear can become wisdom. The shame can become confidence. This is what Jung called individuation, becoming whole. When you integrate your shadow, you stop living as a broken version of yourself. You stop blaming. You start owning all of who you are, your light and your darkness. And there's one place where your shadow shows up most clearly: your relationships. The people you love, the ones you hate, the ones you can't forget. All of them are mirrors. Every interaction, every argument, every emotional trigger shows you something about yourself you haven't healed. Look closely at your relationships. They'll show you your shadow clearly. Think about the people who bother you, the friend who always plays the victim, the partner who avoids emotions, the co-worker who's always loud. You think they are the problem, but why do they trigger you? Because they reflect something inside you. Jung called this projection, blaming others for what we can't face in ourselves. You also do this in reverse. You look up to others, the confident, creative, intelligent ones, but those traits you admire, they're also in you. You just haven't claimed them yet. And it goes deeper. The more intimate the relationship, the more intense the mirror. If you keep attracting emotionally distant partners, or repeating the same heartbreaks, it's not by chance. Your shadow is leading you there, so you'll finally face what you've been avoiding. Someone with deep fear of abandonment may keep choosing people who leave, not because they want pain, but because their shadow wants healing. Someone who's afraid of their own voice may end up with a controlling partner, not because they're weak, but because the denied part of them is begging to be seen. Most people think they have bad luck in love, but really their relationships are less. Instead of asking, why do they do this to me? Ask, what is this showing me about me? And this isn't just about personal life. The shadow is collective too. Societies also project wars, division, corruption. These aren't just random. They are humanity's shadow, being acted out. When a group refuses to face its flaws, those flaws show up as enemies and conflict. This is why history repeats itself, why revolutions turn into new forms of oppression. Religions, governments, companies, they all use shadow projection. They tell you the problem is them, the outsiders, the poor, the rich. the sinners, the other side. As long as people are focused on blaming, they'll never look within, but the real battle has always been inside. So what happens when people stop projecting? What if they took responsibility for their own greed, instead of blaming others? What if they faced their own anger, instead of lashing out at their enemies? The world would change overnight. Because manipulation only works when people are unconscious. When you become aware of your shadow, you stop being a puppet. You stop reacting the way they expect you to. Real change doesn't just come from protests or laws. It comes from people waking up, from people doing the inner work. If that doesn't happen, the cycle repeats, just with different faces. That's why the wisest leaders, throughout history, always talked about self-awareness. They knew the only real revolution is the one that happens within. Shadow work is not something you do just once and then forget. It's a lifelong journey. It's about learning more about yourself, taking full responsibility for your life, and being deeply honest with yourself. It means facing your biggest fears, your darkest thoughts, and the parts of you that you've hidden for years. It means you stop lying to yourself, you stop making excuses, and you stop blaming the world for your pain. You begin to own your story. This is not an easy path. In fact, it might be the hardest thing you ever do, because once you see the truth about yourself, you can't unsee it. And if you truly want to grow, you have to be willing to do the work that most people won't. You must be willing to feel uncomfortable, to ask yourself tough questions, and to admit when you've been hiding from the truth. True growth starts when you realize no one else is going to save you. No outside person or force is going to fix you, heal you, or free you. This work is yours to do. And while the world will keep trying to distract you with news, shows, drama, and noise, it's only because it doesn't want you to wake up. Because when you wake up, you stop being controlled. You're no longer afraid. You're no longer fooled by lies. You stop repeating the same patterns over and over. But let's be honest, this path isn't for everyone. Most people will stay in denial. They will keep looking outside themselves for answers. They will avoid the hard truths that could actually set them free. But you have a choice. You can stay the same, letting your shadow control you from behind the scenes, or you can bring it into the light and take your power back. So now the only question left is this: will you face your shadow, or will you spend the rest of your life running from it? There are only two options: face your shadow, or let it control you. Most people will pick the second option. They'll keep living disconnected from who they really are. They'll keep reacting to emotions they don't understand. They'll keep blaming others, while ignoring the truth, staring back at them in the mirror. They'll stay stuck repeating the same lessons, not realizing the only way out is through. But you're not most people. If you were, you wouldn't still be here. You've seen things most others are too scared to look at. Now you know that your deepest fears, your biggest insecurities, and even the things you dislike in others, are all part of you too. And the moment you stop running from those things, the moment you stop hiding from them, is the moment you take your life back. If you're ready to go deeper and learn the kind of wisdom most people never hear, subscribe to our channel. So now the choice is yours. Will you face your shadow and reclaim your power, or will you turn away and let it rule you from the dark? If this message speaks to you, leave a comment.